I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. All right, everybody, welcome back once again to I Mix What I Like Live. Again, I'm Jared Ball. This is Black Power Media. And let's talk about the Candyman film. I hope you've all seen it. And if not, spoilers, probably, I'm almost sure of it, are coming. So just FYI on that. But what I want to shout out Aaliyah, who has joined the I Mix What I Like crew and who suggested that this film be seen. She wouldn't, I have to say she wasn't the first to suggest that I see it, but she presented the best argument. And let's see, I'm trying to pull this up here, but yeah, so let's just to get a little graphic here. But you know what? I had a better one than that. Let me just because let's see. Yeah, she had the best argument, which was just sort of an emphatic, you need to see it because something was done with it. And I think she's right. And I think related to what we were just talking about in terms of Kwame Nkrumah's Handbook for Revolutionary Warfare, this film does a lot and actually challenges my Vernon philosophy of Black media avoidance. It's another film that does it. Queen and Slim, I think, was the last one that really did it. This one has done it as well. And just as a recap for anybody who might not be aware, remember, the Vernon philosophy is just is just my rebranding and simplification of many pre-existing views. But essentially, years ago, I used to deliver pizza, and one day, hanging out at the back of the pizza joint with this brother I work with, named Vernon, Morgan State grad, by the way. He says, this is a long time ago. He says, man, I'm never going to see another movie with any Black people in it. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, I'm done. No more Black people, no more Black movies. Because we never are treated properly. We never come off right. So when I go to a movie, I just want to see the white stuff, and I don't want to see their Black friend and all that kind of stuff. And so years later, as my joke is, years later, and many thousands of dollars in debt later, I have reached a similar conclusion, that none of us, given the context that media play, and given the context of our society and the role media play in it, their function in shaping public opinion, manufacturing consent, engaging in psychological warfare or counterinsurgency, to manage populations, all of that. Given that is their role, and given the colonial relationship, particularly that Black people have to this society, I have said we should not, none of us, but Black people in particular, should be looking for ourselves in the media product of the society. That whatever purports to represent our interests or our experience is in fact not, and is in fact playing some other function, largely, whether it's Walter Lippmann's argument that white supremacy is a self-defense mechanism for whites, that is, they have to negatively portray Black people to feel better about themselves, whether it's Fanon's radio Alger function approach, creating the national suppressive narrative in protecting psychologically the colonizer in their in their act of colonizing, that is, to make themselves feel safer and more justified in what they know, unconsciously or not, that they're doing. uh, national media are here to cajole them. So when we see black people on screen, what we are in fact seeing, as James Baldwin even put it himself, not in fact the Negro, as he said, but the not the Negro as he is, I think, as he put it, but the Negro as white people need him to be, something to that effect. And that's why he had once point said, when a white man calls me nigger, I don't get mad. I just ask him why he needs me to be one. Because if I'm not your nigger, then you are not the white man you think you are. Anyway, whether it's any of that, whatever it is, the image, the what we think we are looking for in ourselves is not what we should be seeking, and is not there to feed us that. Then something like Candyman comes out, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. They might have slipped one in here. So obviously, what Jordan Peele, who's the executive director, has done, or executive producer rather, what obviously what he has done is, I think, we've talked about this before as it relates to Get Out. Please go check those videos and other videos about the Vernon philosophy for that matter. But uh um but what I think he has done here is created obviously horror is not a new genre, but but his use of horror to tell, if not fully radical versions of the world, but thoughtful, if certainly thoughtful, radical, critical versions of the world. Like, that's what I feel like he's done here. And the only way maybe at this point to get anything of substance in commercial mainstream media is to tell it in the horror genre, horror comedy, whatever genre lane that he's helping to create here. So in walks Sister Nia DaCosta, and she killed it, I think. So it helps if you had seen the original Candyman, though it's not necessary. There are obviously some throwbacks to that, and some nice, Vanessa Williams coming back and showing up, the way they retold the story of the white woman from the first, from the first movie. What they have done here is, as author, again and again, shout out to Aaliyah. She sent me this piece for today, that came out in Time magazine last one on the end of August, titled "How Candyman Reclaims the History of Cabrini Green." um and it's fascinating. Andrew Chow, I think, is the author here. And what he writes here is that long before a man with a bloody hook tormented the alleys of Cabrini Green in the 1992 film Candyman, the Chicago housing projects were understood by many as a place of horror. And when filmmaker Nia DaCosta was given a chance to create a sequel to Candyman, she strove to show a different side of the maligned projects, to preserve the scariness of the original film while separating the monster from the community itself. The original film defiantly fed into a fear of the black community and the black man in particular, DaCosta tells Time. I didn't want to do this approach. And she absolutely did not. What they describe right there is exactly what happens in the film. The original boogeyman, coming from within the community to terrorize the community, is turned into something very different. It's very much that the violence you imposed on us is now coming back, perhaps in a deformed and scary way, but in a way that is going to avenge and defend the community. So it is slick. So when Shirley joked earlier in the comments about how many white people were killed, let's all go back and do the math. Compare any film that claims to be about a slave revolt, for instance, from Nate Parker's to anyone else's, and just start with a simple body count. For instance, the new Candyman emerges not to terrify the black community, but to avenge the black community, and kills 0 black people. I don't think any black victims occur on screen that weren't in from the original or a reference to the original. And I don't remember if there were any on screen at all. And I thought that little detail to me was remarkable. How many films, even those that claim to be in defense of or on the side of black liberation or black experience, how many of them are actually depict and make us walk through hours of black people being victimized in the worst ways? Not in this one. When did he kill the little sister? I honestly, I don't even remember that. So I appreciate you checking me on that. But I honestly, I don't even he killed that little girl. Okay, my bad. Okay. All right. I don't remember that. I honestly don't remember that. Because he lets the sister in the bathroom go. And then everybody else, especially the cops at the end, are all white. So, but okay. I just I'm happy to be checked on that. But uh okay. All right. Anyway, let me keep going here. There's still more here, but okay, okay, okay. I don't remember that, but all right, that's fine. I might have put that out of my head. Um, but what this article also does is goes back and even to talk about the original Cabrini Green projects and makes the point that yes, uh, as it says here, among the children of Cabrini Green, there was certainly mythology about menaces, including a crazy man who lived on the otherwise deserted 14th floor, where the elevator would sometimes come accidentally drop people off. If we had to get off on that floor, we would run quickly before he came out, Williams says. But a more frequent threat was the police, who were essentially engaged in warfare with the gangs in Cabrini Green after 2 cops were shot dead by a sniper in 1970. Cabrini Green wasn't the poorest or most crime-ridden neighborhood, but its proximity to wealthier sections of the city made it a target for not only the police but the local and national news. Its status as the setting of the film Cooley High and the TV show Good Times also increased interest. Denitra Vance, the first black female cast regular, played on Saturday Night Live. That is, played a 17-year-old mother of 2 named Cabrini Green Jackson. She later quit the show, frustrated after repeatedly being assigned stereotypical roles. The original Candyman, for those who didn't know, and I certainly didn't remember or know all of this, was created by the English filmmaker Bernard Rose, who decided to capitalize on the reputation of Cabrini Green by transposing a short story by Clive Barker about a monster in the Liverpool slums in England, that is, to Cabrini Green. So that was the origins, to capitalize on the Cabrini Green and just put a horror cast, set a horror film in what was already particularly as now, never mind how residents had to suffer it, but in the mind's eyes projected outward, that was the horror show existence anyway. Going a little bit farther ahead in the article, when people think of Cabrini Green, they think about this fake thing as opposed to the real children who were harmed there. DaCosta says fiction tends to spread farther than nonfiction. And as a filmmaker, it is important to be cognizant of not perpetuating the same old stories. So this, I thought, was an important point. So, for instance, the film cast includes local actors like J. Nicole Brooks, present in explicit conversations about gentrification, erasure, and neglect, and also mentions the names embedded in Cabrini Green's history, including Dantrell Davis and Girl X, who was raped and tortured in Cabrini Green in 1997. Their names are invoked by the character William Burke, who laments how their stories have been forgotten before referring to the Candyman character Helen Lyle, a white woman dies. Helen Lyle, a white woman dies, and the story lives on forever. So I thought the film did an interesting job with that in telling not only telling the real history of the projects and the real history of these real children that had been replaced in just the fantasy and the mythology and the projection of the nightmare for white audiences. So and again, that even goes back to the point that brother Vernon was making, and the Vernon philosophy is meant to address, that even when black characters are on screen, they are often not there targeting a black audience. They're targeting white audiences that are willing or want to see black people on screen or want to get a black story, but they want a version of that story. So so Candyman was, yes, it became a sort of a cult classic in black communities, but its origins are very white, and its intent is and I think was, and always, regardless of the black fans it generated, was to target white audiences. And how do you going to get white audiences to watch a film with black people killing, as the horror lead? Well, one way, particularly at that time, would have been to take the famous Cabrini Green projects. Again, Good Times and oh man, what was the other show? I just went blank on that already. What was the name of the show? Good Times, and what was the other show? Oh man. Uh oops. Mm. Cooley High, the movie, of course. Cooley High. I actually don't know the details of Cooley High, but definitely Good Times was created by white man, written by, created by a white man. So that would have been yeah, thank you all. Yeah. That would have been that would have fit nicely in terms of that the whole point of or the of the use of Cabrini Green, and it having something, and having um meaning even to white audiences who would have learned about it from watching Good Times, and maybe even some from Cooley High. I actually don't know how popular Cooley High was with white audiences. um anyway, but once, going back to the article here, talking about Cabrini Green and it changing. One way that DaCosta, Nia DaCosta, tried to tell the real story of erasure embedded in her genre piece was by shooting at the North Side Strangers Home Missionary Baptist Church on the corner of Clyburn Avenue and Larrabee Street. So when you see it in the film. They do quick cutaways, and you see the main character come over there to do his own work. It was once a flourishing community center that displayed a vibrant 1972 mural called All of Mankind by William Walker, a Chicagoan known as the father of the urban art movement. But once the neighborhood started to change, the church lost its constituency and was shuttered. In 2015, the lot went up for sale. Potential use as a single-use family home, and the mural was whitewashed over. You see that in the movie too, to the dismay of the preservationists. In 2018, the lot sold for $750,000 to a private bidder, but before it was converted, the new owners allowed DaCosta to shoot inside the church for Candyman's pivotal scene. DaCosta hopes that her new Candyman will both provide big scares in theaters while also forcing audience goers to reckon with the impacts of displacement and gentrification. Now, that's where I will end, my agreement with the hopes, at least, of the film. Like, films don't do that. Films don't change anything. Films don't make any kind of meaningful change whatsoever. I have never believed. I don't ever agree with that. There's no there's no historical precedent for meaningful, substantive, radical, revolutionary change occurring as a result of film or some pop cultural occurrence. That's not to say they have no impact. That's not to say there haven't been some shifts. That's not to say that, some adjustments are made, but I'm talking about structural fundamental change does not come from that. So people are not going to walk away, you know, um, radicalized after watching Candyman. I'm not arguing that. What I am arguing that as a commercial Hollywood media product, state sponsored product, it does a great job of, yeah, it does this, it does some scary, gross, it does that stuff. But it really does get to the core of even what Nkrumah was talking about, that there is a recognition, unconscious, subconscious, whatever people, however, what that revolutionary warfare is what is logically the conclusion needed here. And that's why the film, but you can't act on that way. You can't advocate that, but you can tell it in a comedy horror genre film. You can put the revolutionary violence in the hands of, well, literally in the hand or the hook of the new leading character, um who is clearly, I mean, but to me, the film makes it overtly clear that this is not, to the extent that Candyman will continue on, this is not, I'm here to terrorize the hood. It's here, I'm here to avenge the hood. Uh, the white middle class, and Jordan Peele, and I get it. Shout out to the mixed brothers. I keep saying nobody knows white people better than Black Americans. And within that community, nobody knows them better than those of us with a white parent. Jordan Peele, I'm telling you, I, I have never wished I could be around somebody's family dinners more than I wish I could be around his white mom, his white wife, and their family. I want to be. I want to see the conversation. I want to see it. I definitely want to see it because uh all the white liberals, again, I know Nia DaCosta directed it. I'm not trying to remove her from this, but and give him all the credit. But I do think his genre is what she, and that actually leads me to a question I had about the film, actually. But she's her genius in this moment was within this genre space he's been allowed to create or work within. That the white liberal gets it. That's what I liked about Get Out so much. It's not the tobacco chewing, Confederate flag waving redneck. That's easy. It's not the Klan. That's easy. It's not the Nazi bald head skin. It's not. That's easy to get hostile with. Jordan's folk. I mean, so look at the white folks that try to, in this film, take advantage of gentrification and black art, and the white woman actually says it's black artists that are the original gentrifiers of black communities. Look who gets it. So anyway, I it turns a horror movie into uh a display of revolutionary violence. And I can't be mad at that. So no, it's not this, it's not, uh so I see the movie was kind of corny. I hear you. I'm not, but where else are you going to see that? Like, what other film? Not Django, not Nat Turner. None of those films did what was done in Candyman. So anyway, so listen, I'm going to leave it there for now. We can always come back to this. I'm happy to come back to this again and talk more about that film and others. And when Within Our Gates gets rolling here in the next couple of days, on the channel, we'll have a full-blown constant movie, not review show, but discussion show, and we can chop it up with them as well. But that's what I saw in it. So anyway, shout out to Aaliyah and Joshua again. Our Mix What I Like staff, expansion crew team, and for that suggestion and sending that article, and let's keep it going, man. I love when the Vernon philosophy is challenged. So
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.